Okay, so good morning everybody and welcome to part 2 of the CAD Point Digital Transformation for Building Design and Construction webinar series. My name is Paul Klein. We've met before online at our part 1 of this series, and I'm also joined again by Jonathan Reinhardt, our technical consultant from Tech Data. The agenda for today is very much focused, or specifically focused, on the Autodesk BIM360 cloud platform, where we'll be talking about how you manage your design to construction workflows using the Autodesk cloud platform accordingly. We've got you for the next hour or so, and I believe Jonathan is going to just do a quick intro on himself. And we're going to take a couple of polls so we can find out in the audience what technology-wise you are using, and if indeed you're involved in using the cloud for project collaboration purposes. So I'm going to pop you over to Jonathan and catch up with you in an hour or so.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul. Good morning, everybody, and thanks again for taking your time out of your day to be able to attend this webinar, and hopefully you'll get some good insight and good value out of it. So as Paul mentioned, the title of today's focus is Manager Design Construction Workflows using Autodesk's BIM360. So a little bit about myself, if you didn't attend the last webinar. My name is Jonathan Reinhardt. I'm a technical consultant for Autodesk Distribution, and I have a background as an architectural technologist. About 13 years in the architectural industry, working in private practice across a number of companies, and I've also worked as a BIM manager as well in an architect's practice, and I've studied a master's degree in BIM management here in Dublin. So I'm just going to launch a poll, and if you'd be able to respond, so I'm just going to hit launch on that. That should be. Can you see that now, Paul?
Yeah, no problem at all. That's nice and clear.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So we'll just give it another minute. We've got a couple of answers. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So we've got a good mix of kind of half architects, half engineers, and most people seem to have used Revit or some sort of BIM software as well. So that's really good to know. Brilliant. Thank you very much. So I'm going to jump right into it. Yeah, so today's agenda is essentially going to cover the 4 different products within the BIM360 platform, and you may have heard some of these names being thrown around recently since they launched the next generation of BIM360 April of last year, and they've really been putting a lot of work into it and adding new features almost twice a month in some cases across the platform. So BIM360 Docs being the most basic level of BIM360, and then we'll cover things like BIM360 Design, which is cloud collaboration, BIM360 Glue, which is your model coordination and looking at things like clash detection in the cloud, and then looking at BIM360 Build, which is essentially your tool for site and construction, so managing inspections, requests for information, and managing any sort of issues on site, and being able to capture all of that data using BIM360, and it gets stored in the cloud, and you're able to use iPads and Android and mobile devices as well to be able to capture all of that information. And I suppose it's seen as a way moving away from traditional process of maybe PDF documents or paper documents on site and checklists, and looking at that as an entire integrated process, where you might start as a designer from your design workflow using BIM360 and being able to retrieve all of that information right at the site stage as well for inspections and things like that. So I'll cover that a bit later in the webinar. So just looking at the traditional industry process, we see as information moves from designers to engineers to contractors and then to the owner. You can see the white line at the bottom you know, as that information gets shared, there's a loss of information somewhere. So whether it's a reformatting a document or reformatting a drawing to suit your layering types, there's a loss of a certain amount of information, and therefore it's a loss of productivity to yourselves and to your businesses as well. So ideally, what we want is we want a nice even arc to carry through the process, and that there's no loss of information at those critical points within a project when you're changing information. And we see BIM360 as being the solution to be able to carry that information in a consistent manner, and that you're able to reuse it at each different stage. And I showed this last time, just the McLeamy curve. I think it's important to just cover this again, just to see that in traditional construction process, you see the cost of design changes increases the longer a project goes on. So whether that's at a early design stage, detailed design stage, and then construction stage, as you can imagine, to make changes to detailed drawings or to make changes to work on site that's already been done, it's obviously going to be quite a cost. And whether the contractor or the client carries that cost, regardless, you've lost time, and it's a loss of finance within the project as well that we'd hope to avoid. And looking at a new design process that we're able to make changes along the process of the design cycle, as well as the construction stage as well, and looking at connecting our information by somehow supporting this new design process as well. So some of you may have seen this in the news in the last few weeks. It's the first photographed black hole in our universe. And I use this as an analogy that construction information and design information can be quite similar when you're sharing it with somebody or sharing it with another consultant. Information gets lost, and it's almost just part of the natural process, and it almost can't be avoided at stages. So for example, if you're emailing drawings, or if you've made revisions to a drawing, and that wasn't necessarily captured in an email or in a text form, and those changes occurred and it wasn't relayed to the appropriate person, that's a loss of information within the project. And how you store your information can better improve that loss of information as well. So where we look at things like, maybe if you have a file store, or if you look at a common data environment, some of the things that you might want to see in that is being able to control those documents and publish drawings and create issues, and that it supports 2Ds and 3D files as well as document files, and that you're able to access that information on mobile devices as well. So looking at that in relation to BIM360 docs in particular, and considering that as the base of your common data environment. And then looking at moving into the design stage, once you have that base of BIM360 docs, how can you build on that to be able to move your design along? So whether it's being able to synchronize your model from Revit into BIM360 Design or BIM360, and then being able to control the work sharing of that information, that's all done through the cloud. So whether somebody's residing in the same office, a different location, a different office location, or a consultant in a different country or a different continent, and even, you're able to do all of that through BIM360 as well, and you're able to enhance your team collaboration as a result. And then looking at maybe your detailed design stage, what about when you've moved your design model along and you want to run some clash detection as well? Rather than just running it on your own machine, in an isolated process, you're able to run that in BIM360 as well, and then you're able to issue where any of those issues may have come up, particularly around clash detection and coordination issues as well. And you can assign those particular issues to different responsible people as well. And then looking at the construction stage, how are you able to manage your technical submittals, your inspection charts, sort of reporting tools around how many issues may have occurred on a particular day at a particular site, and being able to, of course, leverage this information to improve the safety of a construction site as well through checklist creation, and being able to manage any sort of safety issues or even any sort of design issues that may have been thrown up on site, particularly around snagging stage, and particularly where there's a lack of information and the subcontractor may have to send a request for information, and how that might be all managed is something that BIM360 looks to solve. So I'm just going to go into BIM 360 docs in a bit more detail. As I said, this is kind of the base across BIM 360. And some of the features that we're able to do in this, we're able to perform in this, we're able to navigate a 3D model, and we're able to create issues in a digital format. We're able to take measurements as well, and we're able to then assign those issues to a particular person. That person will get a notification or an email to tell them that an issue has been logged against them, and then they have the opportunity to address it. And it also supports, you know, over 50 different types of file types, and you're able to navigate quite easily, both in desktop and both in a mobile device as well. Another quite strong feature of BIM 360 Docs is a document control. You can control by role, so you can set that architects only have a particular level of access, or you can set all engineers only have a particular level of access, or you can set it at the individual level as well. So do they have view only rights? Do they have view and edit rights? Or do they have complete view, edit, upload and controlling rights as well? And you're able to batch all of those control permissions either by company or as per role, as I mentioned as well. So quite a handy feature, and then you're able to share files from within the user interface within your browser as well. Now, I'll jump into a bit of a quick demo at the end as well, just to kind of show you around the user interface also. Some of the other features is you're able to capture when drawings were shared, particularly using the publish logs, and you can also capture any information that's held within a title block that's been issued either from Revit or been shared from a PDF. The BIM 360 has the power to be able to read the version number within that particular title block as well, and that's just one way of controlling your version controls. Other things you can do, also mark up drawings as well. As I showed already, you're able to add comments to these drawings as well, and again assign that to people within the 3D model viewer or even just on 2D drawings as well. So once you find design issues, you're able to assign those to particular people as well, and this can be done on PDFs, or it can be on a Revit drawing or a DWG drawing, or another of the 50 file formats that it does support as well. And this just allows you to manage your project, I suppose, in a more central way as well at the design stage. And another powerful feature is the version control. So you can see here version 1 is assigned to that particular document, and once you've updated that document a number of times, it will always update to the next version, and you can completely control that version as well, and you can roll back to that version. And then you can also, if it's a drawing, for example, you can lay over that version and compare it to another version. So here we have two side-by-side drawings from different version 1 and version 2. And as you slide across, you can see one highlights in blue, the other in red, and that helps you notify any drawings. And that's only one of the other version features, and I'll show you another version feature once I go into the demo as well. And as I mentioned already, it does support 2D and 3D files as well that you can navigate and to be able to view your designs or communicate your design in a design meeting also. And then it's not just static information, it's intelligent information. So if you click on an object within a drawing, this also highlights within your 3D view within BIM 360, and then you can further click on that object and see any of the Revit parameters or properties that might be attached to this. And this is done without a piece of software installed on your machine. This is just by accessing BIM 360 within your web browser, so you don't need to go opening up a Revit file or anything for this type of function. You're able to do it completely just by being connected to the internet as well. So you can have specification or costing information within those parameters as well. And as I mentioned, you've got complete mobile access within there as well. So being able to bring an iPad to site, or even your subcontractors or contractors being able to use a mobile on site using the BIM 360 app, and being able to log safety issues or snagging issues or requests for information as well. Being able to do that from a mobile device. And as we know, everybody has almost everybody has a smartphone these days. You know, even guys working on site as well, they have access, you know, either using their mobile phone or whatever way they've been provided to be able to capture all of that information and even log issues and photographs then that are attached to those issues as well. So that's just an overview of BIM 360 Docs. I'm just going to look at BIM 360 Design here. So we kind of see in the traditional process, you know, of collaborating between models. It might be an engineer maybe using a file sharing system to send a model to an architect or vice versa, and it can be quite a you know, arduous process and time-consuming process as well. But with something like BIM360 Design, it connects the teams directly from within their BIM authoring tool. So directly from within Revit, you can sync changes within Revit, and then it will sync those changes up to the cloud, and then the person at the other end or the other side, or even the team of people, can then pull down all of those changes into their Revit model as well using BIM360 Design. And then also you can further leverage any of that information as well for further along in your BIM process also. And BIM 360, I should just mention, is built on the Forge platform, and this allows the sharing of information between the different modules and different features within BIM 360 as well. And it allows us to deliver this single source of truth, and then to be able to control your Revit work sharing across teams entirely as well. And it just means you can access information that was created at one stage, you're able to access that then at a later stage as well. And then looking at the design collaboration module, you're able to review changes, and changes highlight in a different color. You can see on the right hand side here, I know the image is probably a bit small, but you can see any changes that occurred in a previous version show up in green here. You can see that roof and windows and different elements have been added. So there's a visual representation of changes. It's not just an email of saying, oh, look, we've changed this in the model, or we've changed this in the drawing. The BIM 360 highlights it for you automatically as well, and I'll show a bit more of that in the demonstration. So just looking at being able to track issues as well, you can track issues on site, but you can also track issues within the design model as well. So if, as an architect or a designer, you see a design issue within the model, you're able to assign that as an issue to the relevant person, whether it's back to the architect, to the technician, or back to the engineer, or whoever may be responsible for that particular issue. And again, you can assign it back to a particular company as well. So as we know, you know, staff mightn't always be working on the same projects, then you'll know that it will always be assigned back to the particular company. So somebody from within that company will have to respond to a particular design issue that's raised. And then we've within collaboration for Revit, we've had for a long time work sharing, which is also being carried through into BIM 360 Design. And you can see here if somebody in the top window here wants to move this particular wall and they don't own that wall in their work set, then an editing request will pop up within their Revit window of the person that does own that particular work set, and they're able to grant access for that particular user to move a wall or delete a wall as well. So it helps you manage that design iteration process as well, you know, as tightly or as loosely as you want. You don't always have to have work sets set up whatsoever. And BIM 360 Design does save you in costly IT setup as well. So for if you're looking at having servers on site to run, you know, some sort of other Revit collaboration or Revit work sharing, you're able to do it in the cloud without having the cost of those servers as well. I'm going to dive into BIM 360 Glue. So looking at things like clash detection, which is the primary feature of BIM 360 Glue. And again, this is similar to Navisworks, but it's almost a lighter version of Navisworks in the cloud. It doesn't do the heavy lifting that Navisworks does, but it does do clash detection. So as soon as somebody uploads a model or saves a model, it will automatically run a clash test against that. You can then go into that particular model and you can then review any of the clashes that may have occurred in that. And again, similar to design issues, you can assign that to the relevant person and they'll get an email to say that a design issue has been logged against you, or a clash has been logged against you. Can you please review this? And then they'll see if they need to address that or not. And you can also filter out clashes that are not issues as well. So you might do this particularly ahead of your main coordination meeting or weekly coordination meeting on a project. You may do this as, you know, your spell checker ahead of that meeting, just to kind of wean out those smaller issues that may get in the way of the coordination meeting running as efficiently as it can. And then looking at being able to set up something like constructability reviews as well, and that type of process. So it allows you to accelerate those type of reviews by quickly identifying and resolving, costly issues that might happen at the construction stage and costing rework, as we noted at the start. And it allows you to review and annotate models as well, and then send notifications to the particular responsible project team, and then respond to any markups that have been assigned to you, or any markups that you may have assigned to anyone else as well. So it just improves the constructability, looking at that pre-construction stage, and looking at creating your digital twin of your building, and virtually constructing your building before it's actually gone to site as well. And then looking at trade coordination as well, so cloud-based storage for your teams as well, within BIM360 Glue. So if an engineer uploads a model, they're able to then also access the model that's been uploaded by the architect as well. So looking at being able to control the access to the different folders that you may or may not want people to have access to as well, to completely control your process. So it can be a fairly open workflow as well, and it can be fairly tightly controlled also by using different workflow methods as well. So it's quite flexible in how it works also. There's also integration with BIM360 Glue Classic. There is also integration with Navisworks as well, and we're hoping this will be soon to be integrated into the next gen BIM360 Glue. And just to note that if you do subscribe to any of the BIM360 next gen platform, you do then have access to also the classic versions of those projects as well. So you might be finishing off certain projects in the classic version, you still have access to the next generation and the classic version as part of that subscription as well. And then looking at BIM360 Build and some of the features within this also, you're able to do quality control. So you're able to set up custom templates that you can then issue these templates, and then you can create fresh checklists from these particular templates as well. And it could be your company-wide templates also. What I'll also show in the demonstration, you're able to create custom templates from Excel documents, or you can create them fresh from within inside BIM360 as well, depending what you what way you want to create them. What I have found is with a lot of companies already have their checklist created in Excel, and they usually use them as PDF documents on site maybe, or as printed documents on site. It just takes a small bit of reformatting to suit them to the BIM360 format, and once you upload that into BIM360, it will automatically create a BIM360 checklist out of that Excel file. And then looking at something like submittal tracking, BIM360 Build provides this project control workflows that meet, I suppose, your common contractual procedures in the submittals process. And this allows for the flexibility for users to be able to create items in the submittal log, and then add items to a submittal package as well, and then being able to submit those items and collaborate in the activity section as well. However, by design, only the manager or general contractor or main contractor can review the submittal package and make the final decision on when it is ready for the design team as well. So I suppose having these flexible yet controlled workflows, it does help to control the handoff points within these critical processes without limiting that collaboration process, also maintaining a single point of responsibility as well, so you can completely control that. And it just allows you to digitize and centralize your project management workflows, as well as increasing efficiency in managing information on the job site with structured workflows and with clear responsibilities as well. So very important there. And then being able to ensure the continuity of data across the project lifecycle. So again, being able to connect your project records to 2D and 3D locations, being able to connect workflows across project lifecycle, and this provides insight and accountability as well. So we're able to look at reporting on projects as well. So how many design issues have come up on site, how many snag issues have come up on site, and we're able to pinpoint those to particular subcontractor or particular individual or particular contractor on site. And this is all linked back to your 3D model as well, and back to your 2D files as well. So looking at that entire project life cycle of that 2D information and that 3D information, that was created by the architect and the engineer and the designers, and then leveraging that at the construction stage by the contractor or by the subcontractor, reusing that information that's already being created is just a huge benefit, and then assigning the relevant information and responsible people to ensure it's executed correctly. Then looking at something like RFI tracking, as I mentioned here, the access to the 3D design model, being able for a subcontractor being able to come onto an iPad, being able to request an RFI, or it could be your construction manager on site or your foreman, goes into the 3D model and wants to log it against this particular curtain walling, for example, and requests additional information. They can then say, okay, what's the measurement of this particular window, and create an RFI and assign that back to the architect or the responsible installer, either by individual, either by role, or by company as well. And again, you can do this to through 2D drawings and 3D models, or just through an RFI log as well. You don't have to attach everything to a 3D model if you don't want to. And as we know, RFIs are quite time consuming. Contractual check and balance between the contractor and the design team, and I suppose in the current time of coordination, they can seem like a frustrating return to being quite protective and inefficient as well. And yet there is no escaping their contractual necessity, and each of these communications has to follow a prescribed path for review and approval. And every contractor has a defined process and often a set of software applications to manage these workflows. So how can we streamline communication between teams and ensure the continuity of project data, as well as promoting coordination and issue resolution as well, all while aligning with common contractual procedures? And I suppose with BIM 360's RFI workflows, teams can designate responsibilities for each step and coordinate responses from the design team as well. So for example, the RFI workflow can be set up to allow any project member to initiate an RFI and to submit it to the main contractor, and then the contractor or the manager of that process can edit the RFI and assign what we call a primary reviewer, and this can be the architect or the person responsible for issuing that design information. And then additional co-reviewers can be added as well, so you might want to add the technician or somebody else, or the project manager as well, or the QS if it's a design change being captured. And then we were able to create a clear response structure for the RFI with this as well. And BIM 360 Build also allows the users to identify the location on the drawings or the 3D file as well. And looking at managing RFIs, or looking at managing issues on site as well. So issues are separate to RFIs, but what issues allow you to capture is any sort of design issue on site, a work issue on site, or a safety issue on site. And I suppose issue management is a key workflow during site implementation of every construction project, but disconnected issue management processes such as paper checklists or reactive management to problems can cause a series of problems. And this is, I suppose, a lack of info at the point of construction. You've no visibility into the issue resolution, and you also have increased time to find and fix problems as well. And rework and costs and schedule overruns are also an issue as well. And I suppose by executing issue management workflows within a single construction management platform, teams can gain efficiency and productivity advantages that come from having flexible and configurable workflows, proactive quality management and resolution, and then reporting dashboards for insights and, including the root cause of what a problem might have been, and being able to filter on that root cause as well. And this, at the end of it, gives you a better quality building. So that's better for the contractor, it's better for the client, you have a happy client, and it's better for all of the design team as well, architects, engineers, and everybody involved as well. And obviously it's going to reduce rework at the closeout, and the reduction of RFIs overall as well. And then looking at using checklists for something like safety management. So checklists, I should say, can also be used for your regular building control or building regulation inspections, but you can also use it for safety management as well. So I suppose from a contractor's point of view, you know, BIM360 enables the teams to effectively participate and take ownership of safety on site. So where both positive and negative behaviors, including, again, the root cause, are recorded, safety data is analyzed for trends as well in the platform, so that unsafe behaviors can be further prevented. And this makes everyone safety observers, and you're able to record both the positive and negative observations as well, again, with those root causes, and then you're able to analyze those further also as well. And if there are non-compliance issues, you're able to assign that as a non-compliance issue either to the health and safety officer, to the responsible company that may have caused that particular safety issue, or for somebody just to review that particular safety concern as well. And then looking at your daily reporting as well, your construction manager or your foreman are able to create daily reports of how many people were on site for each particular contractor or each particular subcontractor as well. And this gives you visibility into the status of how important a day-to-day project management is, as well as being able to look back at daily activity. So if a dispute needs to be resolved later in a project, the daily log capability information such as weather are automatically populated into logs, and labor tracking is easily populated either, you know, on a laptop or right on the site from a mobile device as well, with companies already loaded into BIM360, adding details who was on site, what they did, and any important notes can be quite quickly entered as well. And as with all activity in BIM360, daily logs are archived and available to view for any day of the project as well, at the click of a date on the calendar also. So I suppose, why might you choose BIM360? It connects your information, it is secure, it's completely integrated as well, and it is data driven as well. So BIM360 is built on the only unified common data platform in the industry. They are changing the way teams are connected, both in the office and on the site as well, by allowing easy team communication and collaboration. And with your security being a complete priority of the platform, BIM360 is designed and built using the best-in-class cloud software practices and powered by Amazon Web Services, or AWS, and they are the world's leader in cloud infrastructure as well. So some peace of mind there with your security. And that being said, BIM360 is designed to be extensible with open source APIs as well, and to easily connect other construction software tools that your company also uses. And at the end of the day, with Project Insights tool within BIM360, it supports predictability and certainty of decision making as well. And this eliminates that root cause of uncertainty within projects as well, whether it's design issues or whether it's construction issues. And then just, you know, imagine the impact on project delivery and having a better building, and as I said, a happier client and an entirely happier design team and contractor as well. And again, as I said, it does connect your design teams and being able to access that on mobile devices. And there is if you do have any sort of security queries, there is complete permission control, but there is a BIM360 security white paper available from the address at the end. And if you just do a search for it as well, it should throw it up. It's a PDF document that you can download and have a look through. And as I said, it does integrate with many other BIM3 or many other construction software APIs, not only Autodesk as well. So it's extremely extensible, and you know, it supports over 50 different file types as well. And this integration does like streamline, it integrates the solution with viewing support for all of these 50 different types of design files, including PDF, AutoCAD, Revit, and supports for managing any project file type as well. You know, in addition, BIM360 is designed to be extensible, as I mentioned, with open, secure APIs that you can connect your project data as well, even to your ERP system, if you're using something like that in your business as well, from a list of integrated partners as well, and that they're shown on the left-hand side. As I said, BIM360 is data driven as well. You can completely access your reporting tools, which I'm going to jump into now, just within in a quick demonstration as well. And BIM360, it aggregates all of your project data across the entire life cycle, right from design stage, as we've seen, looking at docs and BIM360 design, looking at your pre-construction stage, and then looking at your even site implementation stage. And this allows you to make quicker and more informed business decisions and predict issues before they become costly holdups as well. So I'm just going to jump into a bit of a demonstration here. So share my screen. Brilliant. Okay, so here we have the BIM360 user interface. I've got a dummy project set up here that I set up previously. I'm just going to show you around how it works. So what we have up here is called the module selector. So once you log into your BIM360 account, you'll be presented with a list of, so up here is my particular company name. You'll be presented with every project that has been assigned to you as a member within here, and then you're able to access. So this particular one is called New School Langley. So I'm just going to access that. And this is a particular folder structure that I've set up previously. So within BIM360, you have two different sections. You've got one called plans, and this is essentially for any sort of 2D drawing or 3D file to be stored here as well. And you also have project files. So this is somewhere that you're able to store specification documents, Word documents, any sort of instruction manuals in here as well. And it just means that you're able to access that information again when you're on site as well. So back to the module selector. So currently we're in document management here, and you can see the other modules that I have access to. So we've got design collaboration, project management, field management, model coordination. Cost management, which I currently can't show, is on preview mode as well, and that's something that Autodesk are looking to integrate to be able to track costs on the construction process as well. So it's only at preview stage at the moment. As I said, I can't go into it, but just to be aware that that is coming down the line as well. Very exciting stuff there. So again, just looking at the document management and how you might set up certain folders. So quite simply, to set up a folder, so within the plan section, I want to set up a folder and we want to call this architectural drawings. Make sure I spelled that right. Architectural drawings. Apologies on my spellings. So I've created a folder there, and you can see it's just syncing, created architectural drawings, and that's completely blank. Now I can either drag a folder or a file from up here. I can go into the upload section. I can select something that I want to. So maybe I have, let's see if I have any files here. So I might want to upload a particular drawing or file from my machine, and you can upload that from up there, and it will just take a couple of seconds or minutes, and you can upload that into your particular section as well. And there's also the integrated process of the desktop connector, which I don't have installed on this machine, but it's a desktop connector to allow you to sync files in a lot more easier way. Then to be able to set permissions to this particular folder, I can either control permissions at the top parent level of the folder, or I can control it at the subfolder level. So I'm just going to go to subfolder level, click in permissions. And you can see here, I'm the only person assigned to this, and I have particular full access at the moment. So I've got view, upload, edit, and control access, but I can start adding other people here. So I'm going to add my colleague, Paul Hewitt. I'm just going to add him, and I can grant him view only access, view and upload access, and so on and so forth, edit access and control access. So I'm just going to give him view and upload access in here as well. And I'm just going to hit add. So that's going to add him, and I can see anyone in there that's been added to the project. So I have been set up as an administrator on this particular project, so I have access to be able to remove Paul or remove a particular company as well. So up here, I might want to add just a company to the particular access. So anyone that's part of this particular company will then have that access, and I only want to give them view only access as well. So anybody that is part of auto structural design will only have this particular access, and I can change that at any point as well. And this just means that that's relevant to only that particular folder. So if I go back up to plans, and if I go into the settings, permission settings, I can see that I only have access to this. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add somebody else in here. Let me see. I'm going to add my other colleague. He is not in the project. I'm going to add Paul again to this. See who we have here. So I've got somebody set up here on my personal Joe blogs. I'm going to add him to that particular project. So that's at the top folder access I'm adding. So if I go into architectural drawings, I can see that Joe Blogs has inherited that access because because he has access to this particular folder. And you can see how the structure of it works there and so on and so forth. And it's quite flexible as well. You know, certain companies will want to have particular setups, and BIM360 is quite flexible to be able to meet those expectations as well. It's not a hard and fast rule about who has access to what. You can completely control that from your own point of view as well. So just breezing through document management as well. I'm just going to go into some of the settings at the back end of document management. Also, I'm just going to go into project management, and this is just going to, or project admin, and this is just going to allow me to set up certain different processes. So this is where you can control the different settings within each module. So as I was already in document management, I'm just going to show you how you might set up a review process. So what we have has been added since January, I think. You're able to create an approval workflow. So if a document, for example, gets issued to be reviewed for a client or issued to be reviewed by a particular consultant, you can set up an approval workflow that either has a one-step workflow and goes right up to 6-step workflow. So each step, essentially, I'm going to set up a 2-step one here. So initially, if I issue something for review, it goes for review, and then it goes to one individual that it's been assigned to, it goes to another individual. And I'm going to set this up so that you're able to, once a document gets approved, whether it's a drawing or a model file, I can title this, I'm just going to call it document document design review, and I'll show you the relevance of this. I can put it in the description. So initiator, I'm going to make myself the initiator of this particular workflow, and this is a generic workflow that I'm setting up, so this can be assigned to any particular approval document that you might issue from BIM360 document management. I can say who the reviewer of that is going to be. So Joe Blogs will be the reviewer. He'll have 3 days to review that, and then the approver, then it needs to come back to me, and then I'll have 1 day to approve that, for example. And then I can change what the status is. I can retype this for something else, and if there's a particular icon that you want to approve to that as well. But I suppose one of the newest features that was added back in January to meet the BIM Level 2 requirements is that you can also copy approved documents to a folder. So once a document has been approved, I'm just going to select the architectural drawings. Once a document has been approved from one folder, it will automatically, if it has been approved, it will automatically go into that particular folder as well. So that can be moving something from your work in progress folder into your archive folder, depending how you've named your folder. That is completely up to yourself. So I'm just going to click save on this. And you can see I've set up different sort of access or different sort of approvals in here. And I'm just going to go back into my document management just to show you how that might work. So say, for example, you have a drawing that you want to issue to a client. See if I have a drawing saved in. Here, a particular PDF. So for example, I have a PDF of a floor plan here. So just going to click OK, and that then brings that up as a PDF document. You can see in there. There's also another way to view it in your Open BIM viewer as well. So it opens within the user interface also as a PDF document. So if I wanted to say issue that drawing to the client to review, for example, I can make a number of different options up here. I can lock it, I can share it, I can delete it, or I can add it to a set, but I can submit it for a review. So I want to submit this for a review, and then using the approval workflow that I've already created, design review, that will then go through that process. And once it's copied, so the one that I just set up was this particular one. So client review, and once that's copied, we can see copy approved documents. When any document in the review is approved, it will go into that particular shared folder. I can then put in a note to the client or to the design consultant saying, please review this drawing. And then I can hit submit, hit client review. I can add more documents into that as well, and hit submit. And I want to notify the particular reviewers. So I'm going to choose, again, Paul Hewitt. And you can see that this sets up particular email notifications as well. Again, put in a message if I want. And this will then send that as a review to my colleague. And you can see here, any reviews that are outstanding can be accessed through here as well. So I can go back into this. I can filter on anything that's open or closed using this also. And that's just one way of managing the review process as well. And you can also handle things like transmittal, so issuing tender packages or complete sets of drawings using a similar process to the review process as well. And then again, managing any sort of design issues that have occurred on your drawings as well. So I'm just going to go back into one of my drawings just to show you some of the other features within document management. So you can see I've got an email there that's come in straight away to say that a review process has been issued and my name is attached to it. So I'm just going to show you in the PDF drawing. So I'm going to open up this particular drawing. I'm just going to go to the end of it, and you can see under the version here, I've got version 2. So I'm just going to open up BIM Viewer. I'll show you the significance of that. So that drawing has been renamed version 2 automatically. So what's happened is I had version 1, obviously. I re-uploaded this drawing and it automatically gave it a version 2 numbering. So I want to compare any design changes that have occurred in this. So on the left-hand side, I've got V2. And I can select, you might have 10 versions in there you can compare it against. And I want to compare each of these PDF documents. So I'm just going to hit compare. It just takes a second to generate. And you can see on the left-hand side, a design change is highlighted in different color that has occurred within the design. So in this case, it was the door had moved. So in blue, version 1, the door was originally in this location. And then version 2, where it's highlighted in red, the item had moved in that version. So somebody didn't have to put a revision cloud on this. There was no email or phone call needed whatsoever to communicate this change to the engineer or to the architect or whoever may be reviewing it, and you can just imagine the efficiencies within that review, within that version compare process as well is absolutely huge. And you can do this in 3D models as well. In this case, I don't think I've a 3D model set up as a different version. Oh, I do here. I'm just going to open up this. So it's going to open up this particular BIM view, this BIM model. So once I click on it, it brings up everything that's been synced, and this is being saved from Revit as well using BIM360 design. So synced directly from within Revit and saved to the cloud, which is just a huge benefit. So I'm just going to go to one of my standard 3D views, and again turn on the compare tool. So it's going to ask me what I want to compare it against. So version 2. I'm going to select version 1, see what happens. It's just going to generate version 1, just takes a couple of seconds. I'll just let that generate, and I'm just going to compare those two different versions together. So let's go back to version 2, it must have been moved. I'm just going to hit compare on these, and it's going to again take a few seconds to generate. While that's generating, you'll see in a moment, and I can navigate around this 3D model as well, and you can see anything that's been modified. So the whole model has been modified, so I can actually filter out, I can turn that off, so I can see here, okay, this has been removed from the version that I'm comparing it to. So this particular is a ceiling, it has been removed. You can see this stairs has been removed as well, and anything in green is items that have been added. So you can see they've been highlighted as well, and I can click on those and further investigate what particular type of object is as well. So looking at that as your version control, and you're being able to compare those versions as well. And then you can also export these to a CSV file. So if you've somehow linked up to Excel, or if you've somehow integrated it differently, you're able to export that, and it will download any of those changes in a CSV format as well, if it helps you track changes also. So that's kind of looking at document management. I'm just going to quickly jump into design collaboration now. So looking at BIM360 design. And again, just to understand that this folder structure is completely interlinked to your design collaboration module as well. So that's why I'm going to jump into the design collaboration module here as well, just to show you an overview of that. So we have up here what's called our swim lane. So I'm just going to drop down. So we've got an MEP team or an MEP consultant on this. We've got a structural engineer on this, and we've got our architecture team as well. So these are essentially your 3 different models, and these are all linked back to your teams that you may have created already. And I can click in this and I can see, okay, the architecture model was shared on the 24th of the 10th. And I can see after that, the structural model was shared on that particular date as well. And you'll see as models get shared, this particular timeline, you can imagine, will just increase with these type of filled circles. If it's a half filled circle, it means it's been shared, but it hasn't been publicly shared. So it's only been shared with the architectural team. It's not a full circle. So the structural team don't yet have access to this particular model, and that just allows you to do your design review internally as well. And again, using the comparison compare change tool as well, you're able to see if any changes have occurred. This particular model didn't have any changes occurred, but again, they would highlight in a different color as well. If I'm happy with that design model, I can then share that to the rest of the team as well, and they'll be notified that a model is available for access. And again, this is all done through document management as well. Anything that's created in BIM360 design, your models and your files are all stored within the document management folder structure here as well. So being able to retrieve that information at a different stage as well. So I'm just going to jump into the design tools. I know I covered kind of clash detection in the presentation and the PowerPoint, and that's a fairly easy one to understand. I'm just going to jump into the BIM360 build modules. So under BIM360 build, we have the project management tool and we have the field management tool. So I'm just going to click into project management, and just to show you the features of this. So project management obviously allows you to manage your project more efficiently on site by creating RFIs. So for example, this is an RFI I created previously regarding paint finishes, and I have linked this to a particular drawing. I was able to assign that to the responsible person as well, and then I can choose to either submit a response to that, but I can also open up the document that is attached to that RFI. Once I click on that, it's going to open up the PDF document that I selected, and it's going to show me the pinpoint of where that RFI was located. So where we had that door change, I had submitted an RFI for what's the RAL color of this particular door, and that gets assigned to the person responsible for issuing that as well. So it's still an open RFI, it hasn't been closed. And you can see the company responsible, who it's been assigned to, and when it's due as well. And it's quite a simple process of just creating an RFI from scratch if you want to, and then you can then link that to any document that you might have stored in here as well. So it could be a PDF document, or it could be a drawing as well. I just open up the document, and then I can pinpoint where the RFI might occur as well. So you can imagine your site managers or your foremen or your subcontractors being able to use this facility to pinpoint where a particular issue might occur. I just hit done on that, and then I go back in. I want to assign this to a particular person. You can type in a name of a location if you want as well, and you can assign a title and other particular information as well. So the co-reviewers of this to my colleague, and who else you wanted to get emailed as well. What else? A title. So I just want spec required for flooring. And you can leave the title, I just copy and paste that into the flooring. And then you can also attach further documents as well. I'm just going to hit create on that. and that's created an RFI. I can see who it's assigned to. I didn't put a due date on it. You can leave it open if you want, but then you can also export this as a PDF or a CSV as well. So that's RFIs. And just, I want to leave a few minutes at the end for questions, so I'll just kind of whistle stop through the rest of BIM360 Build here. You can also perform submittals. So if you're submitting, you know, a technical submittal to a contractor, or if it's the architect or vice versa, and again, you're able to create the workflows for this as well. Create an item. In this particular case, it was product data they're looking for. You can assign it back to a specification data within your written specification as well. You know, manufacturer. Sorry, my blind typing is not very good. Manufacturer, put in, you know, what is the manufacturer here. You can assign the type that's required. So I want the product data, and assign it to the responsible person as well. So assign it to Joe Bloggs, give him a date, 26th, and attach a further document if you want, or create another, and I can then issue that as a submittal, either as a package. I can package these up together, and create a submittal package, or you can just choose to issue them as single items as well. And creating a new package, you just you can set them up from within here as well. And again, you can put in any sort of custom specifications. So that's looking at the project management module, and I'm going to finish off just by looking at the field management module. And what field management allows you to do essentially is create checklists and log issues as well, and being able to create them from templates. So here's a particular checklist that's been created from scratch, and this one is to do with installation of particular equipment. So ensure bolts and rivets are not allowed in the same connection, and somebody on site can fill out this checklist, and if this is a non-conformance, they can create an issue against this. Say there's a quality issue here, and assign this to the responsible person then, or whether to the company or whether to the particular role. So we assign this back to the engineer. We're going to give him till Thursday to complete that. Enter a location if you want, and again assign this to a particular document that you may have set up already also. So again, select the particular location. I'm not going to go through that process, but you get the gist. It's quite similar to the other processes within BIM360 as well. And you can imagine these checklists, you know, become quite efficient to use, that you have this on your iPad or on your mobile device being used by your subcontractor or being used by the architect or the designer on site, and anything that's entered on the iPad all feeds back into BIM360 automatically, and then you can review all of these in your issue logs, what conforms, what doesn't conform, how many outstanding issues there are, and again export this as a report as well. So I'll just leave it there and hand back to you, Paul. And for any questions, I'll hang on for a few minutes. I know that was a fairly whistle-stop tour, but thank you again for your time.
Thank you, John. A really superb overview of the BIM360 cloud platform, and it clearly shows the breadth and depth and capability of what can be achieved by implementing that within the business. As you say, if you open up the floor to some Q&A, for any of you guys out there in the audience that don't know, you can input that through the Q&A button on the bottom of the screen. So whilst we're just wrapping up, we'll see if we get any questions coming. I'll have a quick look now. We've currently not got any questions, John, so we'll give it a minute or so whilst we're talking. But in essence, really our role in this, myself and John's role, is after today, those of you who are considering implementing the BIM360 cloud platform within your practice, and would like to seek some advice on help in doing so, that's what we're here to do. So simply put, obviously we're an Autodesk partner, so we can provide you with the licensing, which is on a subscription model, clearly as all Autodesk technology is nowadays, and we can come meet with you and come and have a discovery session to basically understand who you are, what you do, what you want to achieve, and then start to map your requirements and processes, workflows, as you've seen from Jonathan, into the system, and then train you up in how to use it effectively. So that's our role and CADpoint's role as value-added reseller, to help you make the most of the Autodesk platform. I see we've got a quick question in coming now. John, can you pick that one up?
I can indeed. Is BIM360 compatible with Incorporated Viewer for ArchiCAD, please? Let me confirm that, as I said, it does support over 50 different file formats. Let me confirm if it does include support for that particular piece of software as well. And we'll get back to you either with a phone call or an email. But thank you very much for your question.
Okay, so in terms of contact details, you should have received multiple emails from CADpoint. Obviously, John's details are there, or email sales@cadpoint.co.uk if you'd like to book an appointment after today's presentation, so we can work with you. That'd be the easiest option. So sales@cadpoint.co.uk, and if you could reference today's webinar, being part 2 of the digital transformation for building design and construction, and in particular focusing on the BIM360 Autodesk cloud platform. And we'd be delighted to come meet with you and help you on your journey towards implementing that successfully within the business. Any more questions, John?
No, I'm happy enough. Thank you very much. I haven't seen anything else come through there.
Okay. So I think we'll call it a wrap. So thank you, John, for a fantastic overview for the audience today. And equally, thank you to all of you, the participants and attendees today. We hope you found it beneficial, and we look forward to working with you over the next few months. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you.